Hey, everybody, it's 12 noon Eastern. We know what that means, right? It's Thursday, so it's Building Wins Live special edition. We got a guest today that if you're in the metal roofing industry at all, especially in the roll forming industry, you know this man well. If you don't, you need to, and you will after today. So please hold on just for a minute. I'm going to come back with a great guest, Ben Schmidt with Bradbury, the Bradbury Group, the one, the only. Be right back. There he is.
Hello, Randy.
Ben, how you doing, my friend?
Doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day here in central Kansas. We're enjoying things this week.
Is it? And I know we talked yesterday from it. You're 180 miles south of Seneca, wherever Seneca is. So
yeah. If you throw a dart right in the middle of the state, that's pretty much where we're at. So
we discussed you were like. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, just the folks that know Kansas a little bit. We're right off of 135, the highway that goes north-south from Oklahoma City to Nebraska.
Nice. Well, before we get started, so folks, this is Ben Schmidt. Ben is the industry sales manager for our industry for the Bradbury Group, and Ben and I've known each other for years now. As I said in the before the bumper rolled in, pretty much everybody knows Ben. If they don't, they're going to after today, right? So, but appreciate you being on and having a chat. You know, the nature of this show is to talk with industry leaders and innovators and just keep a conversation going on what's going on in our industry that we all kind of love and enjoy and live day and night. So, but before we get started, maybe give it 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes of, so people get to know who Ben Schmidt is.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Randy. As Randy mentioned, I work here at the Bradbury Group. First and foremost, I'm a kid that was raised on a farm here in central Kansas and born and raised in Kansas here in Mound Ridge, where the headquarters is. Went off to school and then came back here to Bradbury. I've been here since 2005. Got a handful of kids and got a high schooler and 2 middle schoolers now, and we're just having a lot of fun here working with the Bradbury Group and getting to know a bunch of really neat folks in this industry. Prior to coming here in 2005, I was in the lumber business for a year. I was a lumber broker, and then before that, I sold irrigation pipe and fittings, and then my first job out, I sold elevators and escalators. So this is probably the most unique thing about this industry is meeting folks like Randy and folks like everybody that's here listening today. It's just just a good group of folks here that are in this business.
Awesome. So speaking of your family, and I should remember his name, but I forget right now. But how's your son? He just broke his arm at basketball, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was first part of middle of January. He's a 7th grader, and he broke his right forearm, and he just got out of the cast 2 weeks ago, and he's in the brace now, and he's actually in 2 more weeks he'll be full release, and so we'll be moving on to baseball and track. So
good.
It is amazing how skilled the healthcare folks are. We're really fortunate on there, but man, that was an ugly break, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, of course. That's always tough. So important question here then. One, are your kids back in school? I mean, actually physically in school?
Yeah, so no. We're in school. Our district is relatively rural, so average class sizes allowed us to maintain social distancing and be in class. Of course, this time last year we all went home for the forever spring break, as we know. But we went back to school in August, and we've been in school all the way through the ups and downs of the pandemic. One shout out to our local school here. It's USD 423. They did a phenomenal job managing through their way. There was a time when we were the only school in our county that was open, and so the advantages that provided our kids have been enormous. Now there is an option for remote learning as well, but probably 90% has been in school. So we're very thankful for the local leaders here that made that happen for our kids.
Oh, that's awesome. That is really awesome. So then the really important question now, back to your son, is did he make sure as a seventh grader, he's probably knows girls a little bit. Did he make sure that he took advantage of being hurt as an athlete? I mean, that's important, right?
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. You have to, you let no opportunity go unturned, right? So we got to train them up early.
I remember I broke my collarbone in football as a freshman in high school. And as much as it hurt, all of the girls, oh, here, let me help you with this. Let me open the door for you. And I was just nursing it, right? I mean, I was in massive pain, buddy. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad he's doing better and getting back to sports. So you mentioned something early on, and I think maybe that's where I want to start our conversation is what an industry. I shut my phone off. Sorry. What an industry we're involved with, right? I mean, it's. I know you work a lot. I work a lot, but I'm just thankful every day to be involved in this overall industry, right? I mean, it's just you can't get a better group of people and a more fun industry to be involved with, and you kind of mentioned that. So maybe expand on your thoughts on how lucky we are to be in this industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, going back just in the recent history, right over the last 18 months, thank goodness, that everyone that I know was deemed essential. First of all, we've been able to go out, continue to make a living, but further to that, it's just amazing how many like-minded folks are in this industry, from vendors and folks like yourself onto the machine side, and then to the people that use our products to make a living. One thing I've always been very impressed with the people that I work with in this business is it's very unusual to find folks that don't work as friendly competitors, if you will. There's always, what allows us at Bradbury to sell equipment is to get our equipment viewed, and nobody wants to buy from a salesman, right? You want to buy from somebody that's in your industry, that's either where you want to be or where you intend to go, and be able to have that straightforward conversation. And I'm thankful every day that, the majority of folks we work with are almost always like, yeah, have them give me a call, or sure, come on up, and I'd love to show them what we're doing here. So that's one thing I know, and I spent most of my career in this business, but when I was outside this business, every day I realize how fortunate it is, because it's not like that in other industries.
Right. You're exactly right. You hit on something with the fact that you got the ability to send a potential customer to somebody that might be viewed as a competitor. I'm sure you probably tend to send them a bit away, not like 12 miles down the road, but be that as it may, that speaks highly and speaks to something that I talk about often in just different venues that I get involved with, is that whole relationship thing, right? And that all comes, my take would be, listen to you say that, is you and your team have built such good relationships, and your company as a manufacturer, as an innovator, as a leader in the industry, these people want to help you, right? They want to be reciprocal, right? Because they appreciate what you brought to the table. So, I mean, am I reading that right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is you're exactly dead on there. I was talking with a fella with a company last week, and he said something that made the most sense I've heard in a long time. He said that we're all in the people business. It doesn't matter if you spend $10 million on a machine today, next year that machine's going to be worth less. But what you pour into someone that comes on board, that investment grows. And so really put it in perspective. But I tell people all the time, I never intended to end up in sales, but I didn't go to class enough in college, and now I got here, and I've just been so fortunate to just have people want to help me. And then in turn, try to help other people. They say if you help enough people, you don't have to worry about where your next order comes from. But a lot of that goes back to Mr. Bradbury, the founder of the company, and where, we all say it, and it's easy to say, but service is the most important thing. And a lot of times service is just answering the phone, which is the easiest thing to do in the world. So, but yes, I agree with you.
Good, good. Well, that's awesome. And you said the people business. That is so true. We we all talk a lot about it, and in different groups I'm involved with. Obviously, if you want to put a term to it, we're in the B2B business, right? I mean, we sell business to business, but I know there's a phrase that's coined a lot that I actually happen to buy into and agree with, which is at any level, we're H to H, right? Human to human, or P to P if you want, we're people to people. Maybe if you get to the extreme large multi-billion-dollar deals and government deals, I suppose maybe there's less of that, probably. But I think in all the areas of what you and I are involved with, like you said, you said it well. It's still back to Ben Schmidt talking to Billy Bob the roll former, right? And putting together a trust, a relationship, and servicing. And I think that was a key point.
Yeah. And then also my opinion is being able to have other people that are in the industry we're in, but don't do the things we do, and being able to refer them on, and where I have confidence that if I tell someone to call Randy, he's going to answer the phone, right? I mean, that's because we all look for suggestions, advice if we're looking for our next pickup truck, or if we're looking which school to send our kid to. It's we rely so much on the people in our community, in our network.
Yeah. Yeah, the network, huge. Networking is huge, and I know I've been very blessed with equipment guys like yourselves, coil guys. Those networking relationships are huge, right? You find out, not only do you find somebody new early on, but sometimes some of the most valuable things that I've got back from somebody in our network is, I don't know, I was in to see somebody and they had some samples of one of your competitors. You might want to give them a buzz, right? And I mean, that's invaluable. Sure. to be able to just have that little feedback, right? Know what's going on. Engagement.
Yes, it is. Yep, I agree completely. It is. That's how we get better as a company, is feedback from our customers, from people that we work with, because the industry's too big. You can't be everywhere, and you for sure can't pretend to know everything. If you do that, then you're doomed to fail.
Exactly. So I want to go back to something. I made a note here. Well, as I mentioned, I make notes. I don't play games on my phone. You mentioned Mr. Bradbury. I would be interested because I realize, and I've known who Bradbury is as a company forever, but so obviously it's a family. Is it still a family-owned business, or tell us how that started a little bit? I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, sure. So we call it the Bradbury Group, and so we have a group of companies that are all under one umbrella. But what we're most known for in the industry that we are in, Randy, is the Bradbury company, or the Bradbury brand. And that will be.
Oops, he's coming back.
Okay, so am I back? Okay,
you're back. That's the beauty of life, buddy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, sorry about that. So anyway, so the Bradbury Group, or company, was founded in 1959. We initially started as a custom roll former, and we still have a roll form division to this day called CRC. But years ago, Floyd Bradbury, who started the company, we're on our third generation. He would make tooling and then roll form for people in Wichita, Kansas, which is an hour from here, in the aerospace industry. Well, and then as things evolved and he made his first roll former and got it into looking at making machines, it just we quickly realized that was a much more, that was the route he wanted to take the company. And so since I've been here for 15 years, over those 15 years, between acquisition and company creation, we've added 6 different group companies to the group. But Floyd retired in the mid to late 80s, and his son David Bradbury took over the company as the president, and so that's our second generation. David really had the vision to make us a worldwide organization. As David likes to say, the sun never sets on the Bradbury Group, and we are truly worldwide. And then about 15 years ago, David Bradbury's son-in-law, David Cox, became our CEO, and he runs the group to this day. The ownership is 100% family. David Bradbury and then David Cox and his wife Jill are the three owners. So we're very fortunate to work for an organization that is family owned and is not, and it showed itself during the recent pandemic time, right? I mean, everybody came to work every day, and we had to do a lot of different things to keep that going. But it's a very, very unique organization, and we're very thankful to have it here in Moundridge, Kansas.
That's awesome. So Bradbury's got to be a pretty good employer in Moundridge. I don't know how big Moundridge is. I never heard of it until I knew where you guys were.
Yeah, we are. We're population 1,800 strong here. So
okay,
and we have one stoplight. It does go four ways though, so we got that going for us. But yeah, we employ here in Moundridge about 325 folks, and then across town, the folks that are in the lawnmower business, the zero-turn side, there's a company there called Ridge Manufacturing, and that's where Grasshopper lawnmowers are made. So if guys ever see Grasshopper lawnmowers running around out there, and that's a family-owned group as well, and they employ about the same number of folks as us. So we're Bradbury's definitely, well, probably 1A or 1B as far as employment here in town.
Moundridge is lucky to have two good employers like that. Not a lot of small towns have that, so that's a real plus for the town. So, let's go back. Let's circle back a little bit, because I always hate going backwards, but I think if you go backwards slightly, you can go forward. So 2020, you talked about all your employees came to work. You managed through all of the hiccups and the issues, and because I mean we just got blasted, right? I mean, I don't think anybody had a March-ish 2020 COVID-19 pandemic plan written out, right? I mean, you didn't pull that out of the archive someplace, right? So none of us did. So I think the companies that learn to adapt on the run, on the fly, if you will, are the ones that are even more positioned going into 2021 than probably any year they've done, from a standpoint of just being adaptable and learning to adapt. I mean, is that? I'd like to hear your comments on that, I guess, or your thoughts, because that seems like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it absolutely was. We were very fortunate here, where the leadership team put in place a emergency action committee almost immediately. We all went home to work about this time last year, I guess, maybe a week or two before. But yeah, as far as we've looked here, we've been, we had most of February, the phones didn't ring a whole lot, so we were doing a lot of hustling on that side. But then probably about April, May, things turned around, and we saw companies coming to the table. We were fortunate again to be deemed essential. That was the biggest step one, of course. Right. And then we have a lot of partners out there that continue to keep their projects on the board with us. We had a good backlog going in, and it only increased going out. Now we definitely saw a shift in the types of customers that were coming to buy equipment. It's someday here in the next 10 years or 20 years, there'll probably be a college class on the consumer shift and what happened in 2020, because it's really quite interesting. Us Americans, we spend money, we spend it somewhere. And if you can't spend it at restaurants, or you can't spend it, at movie theaters, we end up putting roofs on or what have you. So, but as far as internally, Randy, some of the neat things we did here that have carried forward, of course, doing things like this, Zooms, FaceTime, Microsoft Teams, all those items, that for sure we did. But we also had, it would be in a typical environment, we have at least 2 or 3 different companies in our facility approving their equipment to ship per week almost. And so all of a sudden that wasn't possible, right? For the first 60, 90 days of this deal. So we had technicians walking with, it was almost like a episode from the future with cameras, GoPros. We were walking lines with customers. We were live streaming. The customers were very much open and available to that process. And in fact, we've seen it carry over now as things have opened up a bit more, where the customers, it's quite a financial commitment to fly from, say, the West Coast to Kansas, and not so much the travel money, but the time for these guys. And so we're able to do a lot more stuff virtually with our customers, which has really been interesting to watch as that's developed and we've gotten comfortable with it. We shipped a bunch of test panels all over the country, right? Because guys aren't coming in to prove their tool sets, and but it's been good. We also have our technicians. We have a group of 8 folks that all they do is travel virtually every day, and that had to stop. But sometimes we had to go as well when customers were down, and so we had guys that were driving from Kansas to the East Coast and the West Coast, and customers were understanding of that. But with the pre-COVID or the COVID visitation forms, we've asked a lot of these people to sign, and our health and safety officer worked with their people, and so it's all in all, we all got through it just fine. We were very fortunate here. Of course, many folks quarantined and things like that, but no one. We're all back and we're all working and we're just ready to get on with it.
That's awesome. So you mentioned virtual. That's interesting because I hadn't thought about that. I'm well aware of how you guys operated. I've had many of our mutual customers that I knew they were in seeing Ben and the boys Bradbury, looking at their equipment. But I thought about the fact that wasn't possible for a while. But you adapted to that pretty quickly, and I think what I took out of that, because as I'm a road warrior, right? That's all I've done my whole life. And I had to change what I was doing. And so I'm doing a lot of what you talked about, and it's going to continue. And I think that's what you just mentioned, which I think is important, is you found ways that you might not have ever went virtual with some of these things if it had not been for the pandemic, right? But it forced you to. You found a way to do it. And you found is, sure, we want to still get back out and see customers. Sure, you would still probably prefer the customers to come into the plant and walk the line with you, but there is an option if they would rather not to, from even going out of COVID, if they just don't want to spend the several $1,000s and the 4 days or 3 days or 2 days to do it, right? So there, if you don't look at some pluses, that is some pluses we found to maybe do business easier or better or more consistent, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the other side of it that I found really interesting was how easily we got used to the different social media platforms to generate leads and opportunities. And I mean, if you would have told me 8 years ago that I would be quoting a Bradbury ag panel line via Facebook, I'd tell you you're crazy, but it's just the way that things have evolved. And what I think is so neat is one of my favorite things is to talk with our customers that use our equipment to earn a living. And as everyone's gotten more comfortable with social media, there's a lot more little short video bursts that you see out there when, company XYZ is, they ran 800,000 lineal feet in this month, and they want to like pump their guys up, so it allows us to be able to see that. And then of course, at times reshare it, and just tell people we're happy for them. And then that just creates it kind of like a snowball effect, and somebody else sees that post that you're friends with and wants to know, well, why the heck can they make so much panel and I can't? What do they have that I don't have then? And
right.
And we see that on LinkedIn and Facebook and everything. And so that's what's kind of exciting about this, the ability to get in front of more people quicker and more efficiently and better, right? I mean, this will never stop. I mean, I think you always need the guys that can go pound the pavement, but there's a lot of things that I know, Randy, in your career, you probably missed because you were on the road. And so if you could miss 25% less of those, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm seeing that myself as I grow older, you know, and so
Yeah.
it's pretty neat times, I think.
It is, and it's neat to hear. And you came right into my wheelhouse of transformation that I've made in the last year when you bring up the whole virtual. And it's good to hear you guys that way, because I mean, I've got some trips planned. Obviously, I've got some shows coming up. Plan on being at the Roll Former show in June, and I assume you guys will be there. Maybe not. I don't know. I've got IRE coming up in Vegas in August, which will be relatively warm. But so, I plan to get back out, see customers, do those sort of things, right? Enjoy it, love it. But boy, what you hit on is important. Is I think we found that we don't have to go 100% back to the way it was, because there's so many opportunities with virtual, with social media, to augment the other, not in place of, right, but to augment our efforts. And I think, I can tell you guys have grasped it the same as I have, that you don't even need to like social media. You don't even need to like virtual. You don't need to like Zooms. You don't need to like doing these sort of things. But you better grasp it, and you better understand that it's here to stay. If we don't communicate with our customers, I'd like your take on this, but if we don't communicate with our customers via social media, we don't communicate via, including websites and LinkedIn and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever the case may be, and if we don't do it more virtually, you're gonna fall behind. You're gonna get left behind. That's my take. I mean, and it sounds like you agree, but I'm not asking you to agree if you don't. I'll just have Wes give you the hook if you don't agree. So
right. No, you're exactly right. We started seeing it. I remember about 10 years ago, whenever I was relatively newer to this business and talking with some of the old timers, and we would get inquiries over the web, via our website, whatever. And some of the guys could not believe that this company that we've worked with for 40 years they weren't reaching out direct. Well, the old buyer maintenance guy, fill in the blank, had retired. There's a new generation in, and they don't want to call first, right? I mean, they want to, and if send an email or do a request. And so we had to get better at that. And I agree 100% with you. I mean, and also people don't have as much time. I mean, these wonderful devices we all carry around that cost more than a computer, they allow us to do so much more, but it also fills us up. And so, it's when your phone rings, it's sometimes, it's a lot easier for guys just to shoot a note over, and then if someone calls and a lot of guys don't like leaving messages, right? So
right.
So definitely the trackability, email, text, like you said, all those avenues are things that are here and not leaving. That's for sure.
Exactly. Well, and then I found also, Ben, is that, or thought process in my head is our age, and you're, I think, quite a bit younger than I, because I'm way older than I look. But I mean, I'm not going to say I drove a horse and buggy, but I may have had the horse. But anyway, but the younger people, right, that we're going to be the future leaders in our industry. The guys that are 20s and 30s right now that are working, and if we're still doing what we're doing 10, 15 years from now, which I plan to be, those are going to be the guys in decision-making positions. And do we want to wait 15 years to develop a relationship with that guy? I don't think so. By doing these sort of things and being on social media where they are, we're building a relationship with that 32-year-old guy right now that's not maybe making decisions, but he may be the new GM, the new purchasing manager, the new whatever 7 years from now, right? So I think it's important that we understand and find the platforms that the younger folks look at and go to, and be there with them, for them, together with them. Because if we fall into, well, I don't like Instagram. I'm not an Instagram guy. I'm on Instagram. I try to remember to always go to Instagram. That's just not my go-to. But I also understand that most people younger than me that's their go-to, right? So you have to be there. And that's maybe before we jump off the live here. Am I off base at all, or am I somewhat on target there?
Not, we agree completely with you. I mean, well, heck, even trying to stay in contact with your kids, right? I mean, I got a 15-year-old daughter, so I mean, I think the answering her phone is the last thing she uses it for. So, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always have to. We're always looking to backfill. Learn more about the various organizations that we have as customers, and because things always change. So yes, I agree 100% with you on that.
Awesome. So we're getting about to where we try to keep these lives to about 30 minutes. Do you have time to stay on after the show? And I want to talk just maybe another 10, 15 minutes about where Bradbury is now, what the year of 2021 looks like. Do you have another few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure do.
Okay. We got a little time delay. That's interesting. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Thank you for being on. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to have Wes, we'll send you back to the green room for a minute and go have a grape or something. I'll close out here quickly, and we'll be back, and we'll record a couple things for. We'll get into some of the meat of who Bradbury is, if you'd like.
All right, sounds great, Randy. Thanks for your time.
All right, Ben. Thank you for being on the live. I appreciate it, my friend. Folks, Ben Schmidt, Bradbury, and hope you found that interesting. Ben is a guy that I've known for years now, and he's an industry leader, whether he wants to admit it or not. Everybody knows Ben Schmidt. So I appreciate him being on today. We are going to do an added wins after this, so we'll be out in a day or two, talk a little bit more about Bradbury and what they've got going. So thank you for coming today live on this lovely Thursday. Couple shout outs for next week. 2 shows next week. We got our regular Building Wins live on Tuesday noon Eastern time with George Henderson. George, there he is. George is a great friend of mine. He's a brother and a mega minder in my mega mind mastermind group, as is my producer, Wes. George is going to talk to us about cybersecurity. George is a cybersecurity expert. This guy knows more about that world than anybody I've ever known times 10x. And he does a lot of big high-end stuff, but he's going to come and chat with us about, even in our smaller businesses, if you will, more remote working, the importance of that, the dangers, what we should look out for, what we consider. So that's going to be great on Tuesday. And then we've got another one on Thursday, a special edition. A guy that I've known for several years also, Gary Reichert. Gary is the CEO and publisher of Shield Wall. Shield Wall publishes many magazines in our industry. He also does the promotes, I guess is the word I want to say, the Construction Roll Former Show, which did get canceled, unfortunately, because of the COVID scenario in December. But I'm looking forward to getting together with him and a bunch of industry friends in Cincinnati in June. So we're going to chat with Gary on Thursday, chat about the state of the industry, chat about his upcoming show, his publications, and I believe he also has a new publication that he's coming out with soon. I don't know if it's announced yet, so who knows? Maybe he'll announce it on our show. You never know. But anyways, so that's next week's Thursday. So for now, just remember, you got one life. Live it, love it, own it. Thanks for coming. Make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow. Cheers, y'all.